Ash from Super Videos, back for another movie review. In this one we're going to be reviewing the film It. So right off the bat, I have to say that I went into watching this film without having read the novel It by Stephen King first. So obviously I went into it without any knowledge about the plot of the movie or anything like that. I did watch the trailer, so I had an understanding about what type of movie it was going to be, but not that much detail about the film. So obviously for those who have read the novel first, they might have had a different experience. Or for those who enjoyed this type of horror film may have a different opinion about this. But overall, I thought that this film was not as great as I thought it would be, or as great as it was hyped to be. So there was definitely a gap between my expectations and what I actually saw in the film itself. There was actually a couple things that I had a problem with. I did enjoy a couple things, and I'm going to discuss that, but there was a lot of things that I actually found very disappointing and very detrimental to how much I liked this movie. The first and major part that I didn't like was how many layers there was to the villain of the film. So obviously the clown, or It, was the main villain or the main sort of monster in this film, but there was a lot of sub-levels to it as well, because he transformed into many monsters, which is one of the main things that I didn't like, because there was so many things going on that, for me at least, I was very lost, and I felt like the film just was filled with these monsters to make it look bigger than what it actually was, or make the plot bigger than what it actually was, and maybe even make the film more scary than it actually was. That's the main thing. And obviously, like I said, for those who have read the novel, they may have a different opinion about this, but for me, I felt like it was too much. I feel like the plot was cluttered with all of these different types of monsters. I understand that, they wanted it to feel like each person saw the clown or the monster as what they were most afraid of. I understand that, but still, I felt like there was a lot of different aspects of it and it was cluttered. The second is the jump scares. There was a lot of jump scares in there. Most of them were unnecessary, in my opinion. Some of them were even cheap jump scares. And, some of them were even expected jump scares, so they didn't have the impact because we knew was coming. Obviously, horror films have a lot of jump scares in them, but I feel like for this one, it was just filled with a lot of jump scares that didn't need to be there. The film would have done a lot better if it took the jump scares out. And I feel like the majority of why this film was scary was because of the jump scares. If you take the jump scares out, the film was not that scary at all. And for other horror films, even though they do have jump scares, they also have a lot of other aspects of the film that make it scary. Things like the music, things like the feeling of the scene or the mood of the scene. But in this one, it didn't have a lot of that. I did notice some of what I'm saying in some scenes, but they were rare. That's another major point that I really thought was not very well done in this film. The third problem I had with it was that it felt too much like a rom-com. There was a lot of comedic moments in there, a lot of moments where you kind of forget that it's a horror film. And it just didn't work in this type of film. Some of those comedic moments worked, I really liked them, but the partnership of a rom-com style of film with this horror type of film just didn't fit in, didn't work. That being said, the comedic moments of the film were my favorite moments, which is not a great thing because the film was portrayed to be a horror film. But, that's another aspect that I didn't really like that much. Let's jump into the positives because I said a lot of negative things about the film so far. So let's get into the positives. For the positives, great cinematography. I really loved most of the cinematography, most of the camera shots and everything. It was very well done. Also, a lot of great visuals as well for some of those monsters and for some of those, gruesome graphic scenes, which I thought were very well done as well. The next is the acting. Great acting on all of the actors in there. Even though they were young actors, they did a great job. I really felt a connection with the characters. Even though I haven't seen those actors in any other film, most of them, I still felt a connection with these characters through the acting of these child actors. So that was great. But just to end the review, overall, I thought it was an okay film. I didn't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would. Like I said, my expectations were higher. Maybe they shouldn't have been, but overall, it felt like it was filled with a lot of these little monsters, a lot of cheap jump scares, a lot of unnecessary jump scares, and a bad partnership of a horror genre film with a rom-com genre film. As I understand, the film is not a direct adaptation of the book either, so there's key differences between the book and the film. So maybe the novel is done better than the film. I don't know, maybe I will go and read the novel later on, but at this point, in terms of the review for the film, overall I didn't like the film as much as I thought I would, or as much as it was hyped to be. That's it for this review. See you next time for another super video.